Greg Norman has taken a public jab at the R&A for not granting him an exception into the 150th Open happening later this summer at St. Andrews. Norman has been engaged in many publicity stunts that caught attention, yet in many ways, his most recent one was the most controversial. Here's what we know about that and some other news from the world of golf. First up, Norman wants to make a comeback. Late last week, Norman, 67, had a chat with News Corp in Australia about finally going through with a comeback to competitive golf after being absent for 13 years, showing an interest in competing in the Open Championship when it makes a comeback to the old course in July. Norman said that he feels it's not too late for him to get in. It's the 150th, and he reminded us that he is, after all, a past Open champion. He's a fan of St. Andrews, and if there's any moment he could possibly revisit, it'd definitely be that one. Never mind that Norman, who's won the Claret Jug twice, hasn't competed in the event since 2009 at Turnberry. Let's not forget how he's not presently exempt into the 2022 field. Past champions hold on to their eligibility in the championship only up to their 60th birthday. Norman's camp also stated that he did not plan to qualify for the tournament, essentially putting the onus on the R&A to grant him a special exemption, as it previously did in the unique case with five-time winner Tom Watson at St. Andrews, whose age was 65 at the time. Why it's not easy. Not surprisingly, the R&A responded very quickly to Norman without ever using his name explicitly. A spokesman gave a statement on the matter, which essentially said that the terms and conditions for entry say that a champion has to be either age 60 or less, or they must have won the championship within the last 10 years to be exempt from qualifying. That rule will also apply to the 150th Open, and they don't intend on having any exceptions for now. To think the replies would have been anything besides this is a bit of fantasy, taking into account Norman's participation in LIV golf investments and the group's open attempt to set up a rival golf league to the PGA Tour and DP World Tour. A little while after LIV Golf Investments revealed a partnership with the Asian Tour last fall, the R&A made their plans public to take back their exemption to the Asian Tour's Order of Merit winner. Similarly, the R&A made no obvious reference to Norman or LIV Golf. A spokesman clarified that they do indeed review and update the exemptions regularly, and any alterations are carefully thought out by our championships committee. The two-time established champion golf of the year uploaded a photo on Instagram which showed him teeing off the first on the old course at St. Andrews. He teased that he was preparing for something coming up soon. We don't know for sure, but we can only wait and see what he has in store for us. Next, a sincere ask. Norman even described his request to compete in the 150th Open during an interview with Sky Sports, where he called his request a full 100% sincere ask. He insisted his request wasn't anything but a sincere ask, and even pointed out that he's a two-time champion golfer of the year. He reminded us how he's always been a huge supporter of the R&A. He even talked about his decision with his son before coming on board with LIV and discussed it with the former heads of R&A so they could guide him through the process. His strongest point was that there have been other players who crossed the age limit of 60 that were allowed to participate. The man just feels that he deserves such an exemption. Norman had said to Australian Golf Digest that he was disappointed with their choice, especially considering how it is the 150th Open. Just this year, 61-year-old Mark Calcavecchia, who was the winner of the 1989 Open Championship, will be saying goodbye. The American golfer was given an exemption after what many thought to be his final Open got canceled in 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, that meant it was postponed to 2021. However, Calcavecchia was also forced on the sidelines after suffering an injury. Tom Watson was also given permission to play a final Open at St. Andrews in 2015 in spite of his extra 5-year exemption, after his runner-up finish in 2009 as a past champion had expired 1 year before. Time for some other news. Greg Norman, no stranger to controversy. Norman, who's now the boss of the new LIV Golf Invitational Series, was put under fire for his incendiary comments on Saudi Arabia and sports washing. The highlight of his career, Norman's 2 Open Championship victories, were in 1986 at Turnberry and in 1993 at Royal St. George's. Norman was heavily criticized by Australian golfers for his LIV role and comments about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. He was even told to hang his head in shame. Another amazing golfer, Adam Scott, who won the Masters in 2013, thanked Norman the most for his success. There was one guy who inspired a nation of golfers, and that's Greg Norman, Scott said, a little while after winning against Cabrera in a playoff at Augusta. He went on to talk about what he looks up to most about the man, or, well, used to. He said that everything about the way he conducted himself was amazing, and that he was a true role model. Golfers in Australia now are having a hard time maintaining that idea. The reason being Norman's involvement in the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Tour and odd comments he made while on the record about the killing of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi at a Saudi consulate in Turkey. Norman spoke on the killing, mentioning that he thinks everyone messes up and all he can do is just learn from those mistakes and not make them again. This sparked worldwide condemnation for him. He made the comments at a news conference before the very first LIV event. That remark shocked even legendary 7-time LPGA winner Carrie Webb, who went on social media to share her thoughts. She said that it felt as though the little girl inside her had died, and she formerly looked up to Norman as a childhood hero. As we watch players gather at Tulsa, Oklahoma for the PGA Championship, the Australian, who won the 1990 title at Shoal Creek in Birmingham, Alabama, Wayne Grady, had this to say about Norman: "The admiration I had for him for what he has achieved and what he did for Australian golf is gone." The two had been long-term friends and were on the international teams together at the President's Cup in 1998 and 2000 when Norman played and Grady had the role of a non-playing assistant captain. More controversial statements. As we mentioned, Norman is also the CEO of a Saudi-supported golf league and doesn't seem to care about the kingdom's history of oppression concerning LGBTQ rights. When asked about their terrible treatment of LGBTQ people, he dismissed the question straight up. "I'm not sure whether I even have any gay friends, to be honest with you," was what he said. It's alarming hearing this sort of rhetoric, that too coming from Norman, one of the PGA Tour's most iconic players. Norman even claimed that he doesn't have any gay people in his life. His outrageous statements display how the golf world is still lacking LGBTQ visibility. This year was the 86th straight Masters with not even a single gay player. Over the years, there have been very few pro golfers who have even made statements to support LGBTQ causes. Justin Thomas is the winner at the US PGA Championship in title playoff. Unfortunately, Mito Pereira's painful implosion will go down in history more famous than the victory for Justin Thomas. Pereira stood on the 18th tee in the last round of the US PGA Championship. It was a pivotal moment. There had never been a Chilean major winner, but now that could all change. Sadly, it didn't, and there still isn't one. Pereira, requiring par for victory, formed a tetchy drive into a water hazard. An 18 handicap golfer would have been shaken up pretty bad by this shot. Pereira's double bogey 6 did not even let him have the temporary consolation of a playoff. That happened between Thomas and Will Zalatoris after they landed at a tie, 5 under par. This tournament played out like a slow burn movie, but the intense drama made it worth the wait. Thomas, it was nothing new, seeing how it was US PGA glory for the second time. An excellent drive to within 40 feet of the pin at the par 4 17th, the second playoff hole, was the last step on his way to victory. His score was higher than Zalatoris by 1 over holes 13, 17, and 18. In regulation play, Thomas's closing 67 was ultimately superior to Zalatoris by 4. Pereira, to his great credit, took on every interview request. He revealed that on that day he was quite nervous and did his best to handle it as well as he could. He also mentioned that he expected more from himself and was hoping to win on 18, but he remains hopeful for the future. Matt Fitzpatrick, in hopes of becoming the first Englishman since 1919 to win this event, finished 2 strokes shy of the playoff following a closing 73. He confessed that while it was tough, he also could have done better. Oh well, better luck next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and let us know in the comments what you think. Do you want to see Norman make a comeback? Make sure to click the notification icon so you can see our new videos as soon as they're uploaded. See you next time.